Five modern weapons of war that are way older than you think. Number 5. Landmine. Landmines are explosive devices planted in the ground, and have been used in conflicts all over the world. During the Mongol invasion of China in the 13th century, Chinese inventors came up with the underground sky-soaring thunder, a landmine so terrifyingly titled, its name alone should have been enough to force armies into retreat. Gunpowder mines were buried in the earth with banners, pikes, and lances stuck on top as bait. When enemies grabbed the weapons, they triggered a slow-burning chemical mixture that fell over and ignited the fuses, creating a devastating explosion. Number 4. Naval Mine. Sure, Queen Elizabeth I had the opportunity to blow up ships when she received plans for a naval mine from Ralph Roberts in the 16th century, but once again we must look to the trend-setting Chinese for the earliest use. In the Huolongjing, a Chinese military manual, the submarine Dragon King is described in detail. The gunpowder mine was secured in an inflated ox bladder and the fuse laid inside a length of goat's intestine to keep it dry. At night, a soldier lit a stick of incense inside the intestine, and sent the mine floating downstream toward an enemy ship. If the timing was right, and the enemy didn't notice the floating pile of animal guts suspiciously heading in their direction, the incense ignited the fuse and caused an explosion just as the mine reached the ship's hull. Number 3. Gun. Following the land and naval mines above, it should be no surprise that the Chinese were amongst the first to take advantage of gunpowder's explosive capabilities. The 10th century fire lance, or light-weight hand cannon, fired shrapnel at the enemy from a long bronze or iron tube small enough to be carried by a soldier. Though it could be argued this is more of a field artillery piece. Number 2. Poisonous gas. Chemical weapons aren't a new idea, with arsenic and human feces laced incendiary bombs being deployed by the medieval Chinese. However, in the Peloponnesian War between Athens and Sparta in the 5th century BC, the Spartans besieging Plataea were the first to employ poison gas by soaking wood in a mixture of sulfur and pitch, lighting the wood on fire, and blowing the choking smoke under the city walls to either kill the defenders or force them to flee. Number 1. Tank. The Assyrians had armored siege engines in the 9th century BC, and several ancient generals like Hannibal deployed war elephants on the battlefield, but leave it to the medieval Czech Republic formerly known as Bohemia to bring the tank into play. During his conflicts with the Imperial German army and Pope Martin V, Jan Žižka, the famous 15th century general who appears on another list bizarre uses for human skin, ordered his engineers to cover wagons with iron sheets. Crews in the horse-drawn armored vehicles fired weapons through small holes in the sides. These tanks gave Žižka a tactical advantage, allowing his relatively small army of 25,000 to defeat much larger forces of 200,000 attackers.